This is the Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yeah, what's up?
So I think we should start a secondary website. Call it the
I have one.
something.
It's called OnlyFans.
No, I
Ah,
mean obviously, but some like okay, tertiary, like for Long War, So like we can when we need to do like teasers and stuff, we can just like post them over there. Like the the Dong War or something. I don't know.
Yes, you have sold me on this
what's up?
instantaneously.
Like a clips channel?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I'm secretly trying to make fun of Games Workshop making a Horace hearsay website
They made
instead
a
of
horror.
Horace hearsay.
Oh, like they made like a rumors website,
Uh,
or they just misspelled
yeah,
Horus Heresy.
no, they did it on purpose.
I don't know. That sounds like something a bunch of goobers would do.
Can we just do like longword.net finally?
A longword.nut. I
Yeah.
don't think they have longword like a dot nut designation.
I mean, can't you technically make your URL like whatever the fuck you want it to be, and it
Can you?
just
I don't think
links
you can.
to a real website? Yeah, that's definitely a thing.
Let's ask my man Mike if we can get a longword.net. He'll know how to do it if anyone does.
Or Dark Horse said short wars. That'd be good too. We could talk about all the stuff we're gonna do. I left my lights on. I should stop that. I know that's probably driving people crazy.
Also, bring your camera down. Like your chin is like falling off the camera.
No, the problem is like I'm trying to like do the thing where your eyes
Doug, you're
are
like
level with the
6'5".
top.
How's this possible?
No, the whole like ergonomic thing is your eyes are supposed to be like level with the top of your monitor, but then the problem is that the camera
Yeah,
is
but you
like
have too much headroom.
I
Angle
know
the
I
camera
haven't
down.
I adjusted my monitor, but I didn't adjust my camera frame.
Yes.
I'm making excuses.
We've been doing this for like
Why I
16
didn't.
years. What the hell, man?
Yeah, but every day it changes. You gotta like redo your shit all the time.
That's fair.
I
You need,
haven't
you,
I
you need a
haven't moved
studio.
my shit in like 2 years.
Well, you have cracked the code, sir.
I mean, yeah.
I am secretly jealous.
All right. Well, let's begin. Let's stay on topic. Remember tonight's topic that we're actually going to go to hobby evolution and industry trends. And some of those things might include things like 3D printing. So guys, start throwing
What?
Q&As out there.
3D
And
printing.
that's a possible industry trend. Let's see. So let's roll into the Cave of Wonders and touch nothing but the lamp.
Tight. Would you rather always have to sing instead of speaking, or always have to dance everywhere that you walk?
I know which one's easier.
That's rough.
Why is it rough?
Dancing's hard.
Yeah, dancing's hard.
We just talked about how I couldn't jerk off 100 guys. You think I could dance everywhere?
Absolutely not.
And the only reason I couldn't jerk off 100 guys is my cardio, not like my technique, not my unwillingness.
Yeah, dude. He's in it to win it.
So dancing would be hard, but singing would make me out of breath even faster, probably.
No, you could because you don't have to like belt them out, dude.
Yeah, well, you mean like you can't rap, you can't like talk sing. That's not.
Technically, that's singing.
It's not though.
Yeah.
I mean, if Missy Misdemeanor Elliott can get elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I feel like it is.
Okay, but then you got to rap good.
Okay.
You got to rap like
I
gotta.
cannot rap like that.
You gotta have bars.
You got to rap like Busta raps.
I mean, I'm gonna sing. I'm gonna phone something in that's off tone, maybe out of key.
It's definitely bad key. Do I get any superpowers or just me singing?
Yeah, it's just you.
Oof. Oof. Yeah, I think I'm gonna dance everywhere. I've got a couple reasons why. I'll save
I
them.
want to hear them.
Oh, well, first off, I need to get better at dancing. I live in South Florida and I'm dating a woman who is half Puerto Rican, half Cuban. And every family event, like let me explain, like a normal day, we go there. Oh, hey, let's just go do this. Oh, let's go home now. Before you know, dominoes are out, music is playing, people are dancing, and we're getting drunk, and someone's roasted a pig. That's like a Tuesday. And
Really?
I'm over here with the worst dance technique.
You know what's good also about dancing? Burns a lot of calories.
Yeah. So
Get in
if
shape real fast.
I get in shape, my doctor would stop calling me fat to my face. I would actually not I would not, embarrass my lady on the dance floor anymore because like I do it. Like I go out there and I do it, but it's bad. It's real bad. But if I did it all the time, like they do, like on a Tuesday afternoon, like they're just like, oh yeah. If I just danced like, you know, 365 days a year and then I go to New Year's, then suddenly I slap.
So that makes sense.
And I get skinny.
I mean, there is that side effect.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard my voice, but it's not good.
Yeah, you're not. I suppose you're not a singer.
It's
I suppose
bad.
one of us can pull off the singing better than the other.
Yeah, I feel like you could do it if you committed yourself to it.
Certainly hope so. I feel like I want to.
Yeah, Kara Quinn, he's like white person dancing is basically walking and moving your arms. Yeah, so I've elevated that. Like I know some steps. Like I can do bachata, I can do salsa, and I can do merengue, but it's looks exactly. It's like what you just described. Like I'm just doing the steps, and there's nothing else. And then I look over to my left, and there's like every other person in her family, and they look actually dope at what they're doing. And I'm like, why do I look stupid? And everyone films it, and then I go back and I see it on like people's TikToks and shit. I'm like, bro, I'm so embarrassed.
Why?
If you dancing's already not is already innately kind of embarrassing, right? Like going out there,
Only if you're
everyone
bad
looking
at
at
it.
yeah, and if you're bad at it,
It's only embarrassing if you're bad at it.
Yeah.
If you're good at it, it's cool.
yeah, if yeah, there's a confidence level that like just culturally wasn't a part of my upbringing. But I mean, I did grow up in South Miami, so I tried because you can't get a girl's phone number if you can't dance a little salsa. But yeah, this would force me to take this seriously. Because I mean, I'm gonna be at the grocery store, dude, dancing. Like,
That's what they make Instacart for. I think. Could be wrong.
Garrick Quinn dance from the hips down. He's half Cuban. He said, "Yep." That's the part I'm missing is the hips. Like I'm just marching in place.
I'm definitely singing. It won't be the greatest, but
Yeah.
have fun with it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
But yeah, you got to do all your shit. See, like at least I can still do my job.
I don't really talk that much, anyways.
I mean, now AI talks for you, so I guess that's fair. Does Rob's AI talk or sing?
It's supposed to be an equivalent of his voice, correct?
Mm-hmm. So his voice is now
Then,
singing.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
that's all me again.
Oh, so
I
yeah.
don't-
So all
Maybe,
all your content is you singing now. You're singing the news.
Yeah, there you go. An iambic pentameter. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, let's do it. Rob.
No,
sing
absolutely
the
not.
news.
I wasn't ready.
He's like, I'm not ready. You have to
Gonna warm
make
up
me.
the pipes.
You have to make me do this.
There has to be beehole spiders as a threat.
Yeah. Literally, I'm not doing this unless the actual threat is butthole spiders.
Telling you, motivation is key when it comes to things. All right, yes, we got some news. So, Games Workshop, interesting past couple of weeks with them. So the date for everybody that they sued, all 280 sellers to respond, was Monday, the 12th. And let's just say I can count the number of people that responded to the complaint on both my hands. That's not good because there's 280 people. So they did actually end up dismissing the complaints against a handful of sellers, which is good to see because there was definitely, as I had mentioned, some folks that probably didn't need to be on there.
There was definitely some people that got AI'd into it. like you were talking about. And
Yeah,
you showed some of them to me. There's guys like making like a paint rack. It's like Citadel paint rack. It's like, bro, come on. It's just a piece of wood with some holes in it, dog.
yeah, and the fact that it said Citadel in the
It,
title is, I mean,
yeah,
come on.
Citadel is actually a word.
Um,
You know what I mean? So like that, people like that actually ended up getting dropped out.
that replied did. There's still a lot of people that didn't reply. There's still a lot of people that supposedly didn't get served, which is weird too. And just the fact that um they literally can just email you, and if that email is correct, okay. If not, I guess you don't know, but all your shit's frozen. Like that just seems really weird. Like this whole thing is, it reeks of desperation um and bad intentions. Anyway, so I just want to throw it out there that there's still some folks that are trying to get this resolved because they don't feel like they should be part of it. And I think Games Workshop still has some proofreading to do, and I encourage them to do so because there's some big names out there still that are part of this that I feel like really shouldn't be. But that's just my opinion. Um, so there's that. It's definitely going to get ugly before it gets resolved. I feel like, because there's a couple sellers I talked to, they're like, "Yeah, I'm about to go out of business," and I'm like, "That's not good." I mean, they straight up were like, "Hey, you got to pay us like this much monies." So,
Yikes.
and those numbers were not unsignificant for a misunderstanding. Like, and again, like I said, I feel like you have to police your trademarks. You have to go after your copyrights. You have to enforce things. And I would definitely say the vast majority of those sellers, at least from what I saw, yeah, it was sketchball. Um, so I get it, but also I think you have a responsibility to your community to make sure what you're doing is in good faith to not only the folks that help contribute to the hobby. If you're going to go out and award people for being hobby heroes, I feel like you have an obligation to make sure that when you're going after people for complaints, that you're not just, hitting go on some AI and then letting some third party IP enforcement lawyers be like, yeah, it's all good. Be like, bro, it is not all good because nobody knows this industry like people in the industry. So, like, you can't just let shit out there and just let it happen. And I feel like Games Workshop really realized that it was an issue and maybe they're trying to get a hold of people. But as of right now, there's still some loose ends that I really encourage them to fix. Anyways, enough of that. We all know they have their issues. uh it's
Do
pretty
you remember the
wild.
Chapter House lawsuit?
Oh, I do.
That was big news when that happened.
It was very big, and they've come a long ways, but they also haven't in a lot of ways. I feel like, um, so
Hmm.
I have to be careful what I say and what I don't say, because like it's frustrating, and I want to get very ranty about it, but I feel like that doesn't help anybody. It's good to keep a level head about things. Speaking of a dope shit, though, we did get a new preview. Seems to be Mondays are the new GW previews, which is going to dovetail into the next thing I want to talk about. So we know there's a new night coming out for Chaos, which is another, upgrade sprue. It looks cool. Again, there's a lot of nights out there for Chaos and Loyalists, so it's not unexpected that there was there was just that. Hey, this is going to be an upgrade sprue. Um, for this kit, we're going to split it in two, and you can get the abominant and all the variants over here, or you can get the new one. What is his name? The Ruinator and all the other variants besides the abominant, because the
I love
abominant
that
was the
name.
most. Huh?
I love that name.
The Ruinator.
It sounds like something Strong Bad would call something.
Oh yeah. Um. So I personally like the Chaos one, the look of the Chaos one over the Loyalist one, but it's just like, guys, come on. how many sprues are you going to come out with? Like, just stop phoning it in. Anyways,
I don't know,
enough
dude.
ranting about that.
I on that specific point, I think that's you being a whiny little bitch about stuff.
Really?
Like, oh, it's an upgrade sprue. It's like, yeah, dude, it's like a Night Titan kit. Like all the Night Titans have like movable joints. All you have to
No.
do is clip off the keyed tabs, be a fucking adult about it. Like,
The
do we
Imperial Knight
really do we
absolutely does
really
not work
need
like that.
Yeah, it does.
No, it does not. You cannot pose
On
the
the
Imperial.
hips and the arms and the elbows and everything. Yeah.
That's it. But everyone is the same static leg pose.
It's the same skeleton, dude. That's I mean, like, unless they want to build like completely new night chassis for every single release. Which
I mean,
like do you
realistically, they could just add a new. They could design that sprue again, so the legs were actually posable.
I don't know. Every night I've built, I've been like, this is posable. This you just have to clip off the little tabs.
I don't understand what the problem is. Personally, what is it?
I don't know.
I mean, I've built.
Asking them to design a completely new night skeleton for every single night kit is preposterous.
You don't have to do a completely new skeleton. You could just do the legs and make them posable, and then everybody would have a different looking knight. To be honest, they wouldn't necessarily all be the same height though, which might be an issue.
Uniformity and stuff like rhinos and predators and the knights and dreadnoughts and all that kind of stuff. It's like, at what point do we care about the like mechanics of playing on the table or like custom models? Because like every like diehard knight player I've ever seen customizes their knights, even if it's like the stock weapon loadout. And so I feel like this whole like, oh, it's just a sprue is like not really a leg to stand on.
Yeah, so I mean, like, why does it upset you, Rob? I don't understand. Like, is it is it upset you because they said they have a new night, but it's not a new night?
Um, I
I'm not
mean,
I'm not a night player, so none of this even like I don't even.
because they've taken the same chassis, the same like two inherent sprues, and they basically just added multiple upgrade sprues to make a different knight. But really, all it is like maybe some different
So yeah,
chest weapons or
so that's
top
it.
weapon.
So that's definitely what's irritating you. It's not a new night. It's the same night with new stuff, with new
But it is
hands,
because it's a new data sheet.
but new hands. It has like,
Sure.
right? Is it just like new hands basically?
It's new weapons, and it has like a shield on top that will, I guess, it's kind of remember the deal of void shield generator. I guess it's going to do something like that, where it throws out some sort of
So
benefit.
new top carapace like piece,
Yeah,
and
it's just it plugs in on the top with the.
and when you
AA
say
gun
new
and-
weapons, are we saying just a part past the elbow or the whole
yeah,
arm?
just a socket.
Because that is the problem with the
Yeah.
knights is that like you don't like unless you do destructive modification, you don't get multiple arms. Like so, that's something that
the-
has always irritated me about them.
The way I look at it is that like, at least for the Imperium, to a lesser extent Chaos, like all of this stuff, even within universe, is based off of standard template constructs. So they're
Mhm.
like uniform, right? So
Sure.
like especially the Imperial Knights, no, not every single knight is going to be this like individual, unique construction of a thing. It's like when I think about the things like rhinos or Imperial Knights or the Imperial Guard and stuff like that, it's like whining that it's not different is kind of be like, well, why isn't every M1 Abrams different? Why isn't it unique and special? It's like, no, they're all uniform. Like there's reasons that they're uniform within a military standpoint because like all of your parts have to match up and you have to be able to like replace things and fix them easy and like a
Oh yeah.
million other reasons.
Well, Rob, do you like monopose the monopose world that we live in, or do you prefer the old version of the game where you made your marine in his arms, you glued his arms on separately, connected him to the bolter, you could twist his hips, you can make his arms upper more high, more low, and shit like that, or do you like the new ones where you have 5 super dynamic single pose guys?
I think there's something to be said for
Yeah, what's your preference?
I would say a little each, like grinding out an army from scratch.
So you
It's
do
easier to
so you
do
do
the
like
ETB.
so you do like some personal flair. You want to be able to
Yeah.
personalize the knight more easily than we currently have, and you currently, Because we're not night players, and so some people in chat were talking. So like, so basically, a night player would like if the fucking legs did something different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's asking too much. Like this,
I think you should elucidate your
show
point
you,
better.
since you're
if
not
that's the
super
case.
aware of this. Like,
I don't know if you heard me or not.
No, he doesn't have his.
so I gotta.
So I think on this point, Rob, I think the issue for our misunderstanding is the way that you're trying to convey your point, because you're not using the right words to convey what you really want. So being like, oh, it's just an upgrade sprue, it does make you sound kind of like whiny and entitled. But if you're like, hey man, I really just wish that they would like kind of redesign the skeleton, like maybe add that in as a substitution sprue so that I can like have more posability in the legs. Like one of those sounds very reasonable, and the other one sounds like a whiny entitled gamer.
Well, the problem to cut to the heart of the matter is I skip a lot of steps in what I say, and I've already made all these conclusions.
Extreme ADHD, check.
Yes. So I've already jumped through like 10 of those hoops and just come to the
last point.
The last point, and not because I'm whining entitled gamer, just because I just tried to simplify it down to its core. But this is basically what I was trying to say is that so I'm holding the knight here. And so the new knight is basically the only thing that's different are these parts, which I just took off the two arms and the top. And I think on the castle one he has new missile launchers or something in the chest. This literally has not changed except for a couple different head options in like 12 years. And so I'm like, every time you build one of these daggone things, it's literally this same pose with these legs. Like it's this exact pose. Like this. I mean, you can twist them, which is cool, which makes it a little dynamic, but it'd be really nice to be able to be able to do something with the knee joints. But yes, that's basically.
So you want a more convenient end user experience out of the box.
I think it would be nice if they just kind of had here, this is what I need to say. If they just had a better value for both of these offerings, because I think
that's extremely subjective too, Rob. Like it's so heavily dependent on what you want out of these models. So like
how much they cost?
Currently I believe they're 170 for the kit.
Yeah. And now we're like in a great time where like you kind of only have to buy like one box to get kind of everything you might want per night chassis.
Whereas but now they're splitting
when they
them
came out
again.
before,
yep.
Like, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. But so like value is something so subjective when it comes to models, because like if you have something like, let's just say that Kenny is like, the only thing he cares about is painting and like converting and customizing his models, right? He doesn't care about the game. He doesn't care how it plays. Like, he doesn't care that it might take him 3 or 4 months to put this knight on the table for like a weekend game with the bros, right? The value of that kit is completely different than say somebody who is only purely about playing the game. Like they don't give a fuck about how the model really looks. They barely paint to a battle ready standard because their drive is playing Warhammer 40,000, not so much painting or converting or building the models. So like saying that the kit as is lacks inherent value because its knee joints aren't easy to convert is, again, like a super opinionated thing.
I would say putting out the same offering over and over as a new offering for 12 years is not providing value.
That's to you. That's also irritating to me.
I can agree on that point in that like logically you would think that the price would go down.
Yeah, but it goes
over time, but it goes up.
That is universally, yeah. Kara Quinn just said 170 is actually kind of ridiculous at this point. So like the fact that they have the audacity to make a huge marketing splash about something that's new, which is quite literally not, and then to charge us more for the thing that's quite literally not new over and over and over again, that has become somewhat irritating.
I mean, in some ways, they're charging us double because they're splitting the kit apart again, where you get the Canis Rex and all the variants in one box and a new Knight Defender and all the variants in another box. Whereas they combine them together when they raise the price to 170. So now you got to choose like, oh man, which ones am I going to run?
Wait, so you can only buy them as twosies now?
Now, yes. Now it will be back to twosies.
Oof.
So So they started out as twosies, then they combined them for a while.
Oh, okay.
Like I want to say 2017, 2018, they got combined, and now they split apart again. Or when they came out with Canis Rex, that became all one kit after a hot minute.
So we're back.
So
So we're back to the worst version or the better version?
we're to the worst version because if you want one box with all the variants, that doesn't exist after this release.
Oh, so that's why they fucking did it. Okay.
But in a couple of years, they'll go back to you get everything in a box because it'll be like, I don't know, 200.
Well, it'll be a
We'll
new.
eclipse 200.
It'll be a new bundle deal. Yeah, it'd be like a new thing.
Right.
Ugh.
So,
Okay, so I see where the root of your irritation actually is.
I mean, that part doesn't bother me as much. It's just,
That's the part that bothers me the most.
yeah, I mean, like I said, this
It's
is
subjective.
Everybody has them, right?
That's the
Like, I
part.
could see where people would be upset about that. But I mean, for me, it's convenient because I'm going to buy these to review them and I'll magnetize it and I'll just magnetize it the way from my
This is the
guys, and
first time I agree with your stupid magnet thing.
just like
Yeah,
doing
because like
magnets.
Knights, it makes so much sense. Because if you're only ever gonna field like 3 bigs, it makes sense to be able to. I just want to have all the arms for
Yeah.
like
At
my
this
three
point,
bigs.
at this
Just
point,
don't know what's going to be good.
yeah, and also this is where 3D printing slaps, which is a big part of our show tonight.
True,
Actually,
very
hobby
true,
trends
right.
and hobby evolution. We're gonna me and Wyatt went hard on Knights with some 3D printed guns for ninth edition or early ninth.
Yeah,
Like
or
so,
like man, I wish I could. I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, or even if he's still in business. But I
wait.
did that retro Knights army a
Oh,
few
that was
years
yeah,
ago,
that was later. Yeah,
and that's just like if GW isn't your vibe, there's other avenues.
no, but
Like
remember
if
when
the
Yep.
price is not to your liking, there's other avenues.
double
Yep.
thermos became hot. That was
Oh,
3D
yeah.
printing
I
smorgasbord.
made
dog.
you like 8 sets.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
many.
even who is it? Puppets War has a great night alternative that's like $50 for everything, and it's the
Oh,
same
theirs is
size.
tight too. I love theirs.
Yeah, it's great, and I'm sure they'll make the parts for this too. But anyways, let me get through the news real
Please.
quick. All right, so Thousand Suns release is this weekend. Haven't heard on allocations. Obviously, World Eaters and Death Guard release was super allocated, unfortunately. So not a lot of people were actually even able to get the battle forces to get the new model. I think overall it seemed like Death Guard was more popular than World Eaters, but I don't.
I did.
I don't.
I got him. He's right here.
Well, there you go.
My little boxes.
Nice. What would you say is more popular, World Eaters or Death Guard?
This time around,
Yes.
drawing inference from what I've seen online and like at the shop, definitely Death Guard.
Mm.
Mostly because of the rules and I think as far as like new releases, air quotes, like for the battle boxes, both of those were very cold reception because it's like, well, I already have 3 PBCs. I already have 3 of each drone. I already have 9 Death Shroud. I already have a million Plague Marines. All I want is this guy. So like a lot of people probably same with the World Eaters, right? So like
Hmm.
if you're like waiting, if you were waiting to jump into it, I think both army boxes were a really great starter box.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
I bought the starter box because I wanted Lord of Boxes, and I'm gonna like do a new kind of generation of Death Guard for my collection.
Uh-huh.
And it supports my store, so I mean, like, it was a good value for me. Uh, we did see a number of people jump into World Eaters, and then like kind of because they're like, oh, they're coming down the pipe, and they got their army ready and everything, and then they're sort of like, it kind of plays the same. There's a few more options. It's not like cracked or anything, but kind of a cold reception to World Eaters compared to Death Guard. Whereas like Death Guard, they're like, oh, I could play this one way. I could play this completely different way. I could play these like 2 other completely different ways. A lot of player expression there. Whereas World Eaters is still very much the 8-bound variety hour, and if you don't take them, your army
Hmm.
kind of sucks. Which is kind of why, like, personally, I'm like World Eaters is like in the on the shelf again because I just personally don't like that you're tied to that 1 or 2 units or your army's unplayable.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of what I was seeing too. So we'll see how the T-Suns. I know they put out rules today for the robots, but I don't know. We'll see how the release goes. We'll see what GW makes available to stores. I do want to mention too that well, so I mean, I think everybody agrees is probably what's happening is the Saturnine box set for Horus Heresy is coming out was leaked or whatever. It looked like two come to a case pack. It looks like somebody somehow got a hold of a case pack and was selling on Facebook Marketplace. Allegedly, the image was
Some
definitely
good
not.
guerrilla marketing on GW's part. I appreciated it.
Yeah, it's interesting because all of those that stuff is sitting in warehouses for a hot minute, so it's not very hard to do. Or it could have been somebody just stole it and is just trying to make some money, man, feed their family. I don't know, but either way, definitely appreciated it. It was a good look. We were able to run it down. 50 figures in there. The Saturnine's coming back. The Saturnine Dreadnought, the biggest dreadnought in the history of ever, supposedly is coming back. The GW roasted themselves based on the leaks, which was kind of funny to see. I think it was neat to see them play along, but the whole thing has been a little off. And then somewhere along the way, either as a result of or before, they decided to cancel the preview at the Dallas Open next weekend and replace it with a video game. I think it's a Space Marine 2 tournament, and they're also doing a where they're running like action figures through a kill team board, like the 40K action figures, like so the scale, kind of the thing we were talking about, I guess.
That
Yeah.
seems kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And they said something about which was a little curious because GW kind of throws these little statements out there sometimes, and it makes you scratch your head, and you're like, oh, they were telling us something. And they said something about like they're starting a new trend, which I was like, so are they doing that at other opens, or are they not doing teasers anymore or previews at
I
events?
wonder
Like,
if it has to do with where they're doing the thing in Dallas. Are they doing
correct.
it at the esports arena?
Yeah, they're doing it at esports arena,
I mean,
but
that makes sense. They're probably just doing that because it's the esports arena.
it does make sense. But it's curious that the same day that this thing leaked, they announced, you know, 12 days or whatever it was, 400 hours from that time. So it leaked on Monday. So 1, 2, 3, 15 days later, about 2 weeks, a major company decided to just up and change their whole event 2 weeks out. It's a little curious. It's a little curious. Like I don't.
Maybe they were waiting for like confirmation on usage of the facility or something.
Could be a lot of things. So anyways, I guess we'll see if there is a preview at Gen Con, or if we see a preview at the LVO in October. I don't know. I don't know what to expect at this point. There is one on the books for Gen Con. Yeah. So also in their little like trolling self a Horus Heresy teaser, if you notice the picture with the office, they all have like post-its everywhere, and they all say like funny things, which may or may not have a meaning out there. Like one of the post-its said droppers, and another one had the date of June 24th, and like meeting June 24th, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff like Liber Hereticus, which is the chaos rules side for Horus Heresy. So if you really start digging into it, we kind of did like a little tinfoil deep dive on it. That we'll probably put that article out here soon. But it kind of looks like they're gonna drop the Horus Heresy edition on the 24th of June. It was the 22nd of June in 2022, 3 years ago. Yeah, when they put it out. So that wouldn't surprise me that much. But it's just kind of funny how they were either poking fun at a lot of the rumors out there or soft confirming them. Just don't know what. But and last but certainly not least, I wanted to mention that Monument Hobbies has a new brush set out. They are the Dauntless Synthetics. I haven't used them yet. I just got them actually, but I do use their synthetic brushes. I actually prefer these for doing like line work, which is weird because I know a lot of people prefer the opposite. I like using natural brushes personally for washes and things. So these are cool and they're super affordable. They're like $5 a brush, which is pretty good these days, I feel like.
Yeah. New price point for another type of brush.
Yeah.
It's pretty
It's pretty
good.
market competitive.
Yeah.
I just
I-
bought a couple of AK synthetics for like doing enamels, and they're like
Oh, that's a good.
$4.99.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because I don't usually use the enamels and stuff or anything that you have to use like the what is it, mineral spirits?
Yeah.
How do you clean that?
Spirits.
Yeah,
Spirits? Yeah,
yeah.
okay. Um, but that's a good point too, because I'm wondering how these would hold up to that. They say that they'll they'll handle the tough work. I don't know what that means. uh maybe we should ask him.
Yeah. No, I love the. I've completely moved to synthetics. Like I don't use sable.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like well,
Is
because we
I have a
have like
question.
synthetic sable is so good now. Like the technology is so good now.
Hmm. I was not aware
Rob,
of
is the
that.
Dallas Open on the weekend of the 22nd?
It is, yeah, it is the 22nd.
Okay, I just saw something that also lines up with their big Steam thing, the Warhammer Skulls Festival of Games they
Yep.
do every year.
It
Thought
was
that
also announced the
that
same
also was a
day.
factor. Yeah.
So they announced all that the same day on all the heresy leaks, which is
Okay.
really weird
Sounds like that was the plan.
or convenient. I don't know which, but
Yeah.
it just seems like a lot of work, a lot of legwork when it didn't have to be, you know? I don't know.
You can talk to the global event coordinator.
I would rather not.
All
I would
right.
rather not have anything to do with that guy.
All right, let's do a quick commercial break so we can actually get through finally actually do this topic.
Yeah.
All right, quick commercial break. Let's hear from our sponsors, Fabricators Forge and Monument Hobbies, and then we're going to talk about this subject matter of the evening. And we're back. Show notes, hobby evolution, and industry trends. Now, normally we talk about some of these talking points, then we do Q&A. But I actually got a pretty motivated audience tonight, so let's start on the Q&A so we can get
Okay.
through our audience Q&A. So obviously, the show notes talk about 3D printing, narrative driven campaigns, like all sorts of stuff that are part of the hobby right now. So let's see, without the audience seeing these show notes, how these questions shake out. And let's start with Big Papa came in first. Big Papa, South Carolina. Very first question. You guys are both experts at this. 3D printing, better for terrain or hero scale models, or best type of medium style or printing for each? So he's got some questions. Answer them.
Okay. I think most people would say an FDM printer is the best for terrain. FDM being the like filament type printers you've definitely seen pictures and videos or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're the type of guy who wants that very immersive, hyper detailed, kind of like Games Workshop style terrain, then yeah, like resin is probably what you want, because FDM is just kind of like cheap, fast buster sort of thing, or for like bigger stuff that you can sand down and flatten and everything. Um, as far as the other stuff, I mean, like, could you repeat the other half of the question, Kenny? Like the phrasing was a little
Yeah.
weird.
So basically, he wants to know. He's asking if you want what the difference is. Like you're answering it right now. You got a filament printer. You got a resin printer. He's not
Mm-hmm.
sure what
Like,
what
what's
they're
the
used
best for
for.
heroic scale miniatures? Definitely resin.
I would think so.
FDM is the tech is not there for the tiny stuff that we want out of our miniatures. Uh, you can do things like scatter terrain, if you know what that is, like little barrels, crates, trash cans, like little clusters of shit on the table, right? Scatter terrain. You can do that with FDM because you don't really care about the detail, unless you really want that detail. You want it to be hyper detailed and immersive, in which case resin printer is the way to go. If you get a big resin printer, which is kind of an investment, you can do just about whatever you want, right? Like even my printer, which is on the smaller side, because I do very low volume kind of stuff, I can still print a Rhino, something to that scale. I mean, I printed a Rogel Dorn on it. It took forever and multiple pieces, but I could do it. But it's all just kind of like what you want and what your budget is.
Yeah, I think something too is to keep in mind is the FDM has really come a long ways with the bamboo printer. So you can get a nice smooth finish on those if you tweak the settings a lot, and it's not super hard to do either. So but doing something like heroic scale is still a little bit of an ask. Um, the problem with FDM versus resin is the parts really have to be designed for one of those specific printers, or else you're going to notice it in the print. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just keep
And
that in mind.
correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I think most FDM printers are almost
Mhm.
like a garage kit. Like you have to kind of like build them yourself.
So it used to be like that, but I am not kidding you. The bamboo is like a
Okay,
quantum
so
leap in
like this
technology.
one. So, but what's like the rest of the market look like?
Uh just what you said.
A lot of
You
them are
kind of
still
have to put
like you
them
got to
together.
okay. And so then like so the other thing that I really wanted to bring up was resin printing has had a quantum leap since we started doing this shit like 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Compared to like my first printer to
Hmm.
this one, where like for 250 out the door at Amazon, I've got this what is this? Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra 8K, whatever the fuck. Um it like self levels. You can get a little heating module to go in there to make sure the resin is warm so you don't fail as
Oh wow.
often. Like it's all just like I do it on the computer, I send the file over, it runs its little heart out, and it's fine. Like I it's idiot proof. Um, and then with FDM stuff, you're still like the technology is definitely improved, but it's still like very low tech by comparison. It's like a whole lot of work, a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of user fiddling and faddling with stuff to even get it to work in the first place.
But the good news is there's a lot of groups and a lot of support out there. That you can kind of fall back on because chances are you are not the first person to have the issue that you're having, whatever it is at this point.
Kara Quinn asked a question, about the market. He says, "How much room is there really for like 30 terrain makers, mats, and paint lines? I can't see them all surviving, but
Oh,
I'm
there
glad that
isn't.
we have them all."
Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
a tough spot to be because I don't I don't like saying no to folks, and because if it's your dream to get in the space and make a go of it with a product, that's dope. But I feel like a lot of folks kind of miss the mark on the value proposition because just like you said, what what is different? Like think about how many paint lines there are out there that you know of, and then you're like, well, what do you have that's different? Oh, well, you're bringing some stuff over from, China maybe. And when you look at their social medias and there's just pictures of their product on there. There isn't pictures of painted minis and dope shit. Like
Mhm.
it's like at that you're just setting us up to sell a product, which isn't really what the space needs, right? So you got to be careful about that and do your own research and in independent thinking and things. I think, and everybody's going to like a
Right.
certain brand and a certain thing, but there it's it's crowded everywhere now. Everybody is trying to hustle and get paid, and it's not as easy as it used to be. And that has really led to a lot of companies from overseas coming into the space and a lot of folks sourcing from overseas in the space. Um,
So probably not. There's probably not enough room for this many.
no.
And
That's the nature of the free market, right? It's like there wasn't a whole lot of people. People saw that there was money to be had.
it evolved, and now we have tons of money
Yeah.
being
So your
exchanged.
stuff better be dope or you're not
Yep.
going to do well
Because
because,
eventually, on a curve, like eventually, all the products are going to be like kind of equally dope
Hmm.
over time. I mean, look at Army Painter's new paint line is like it's used it with recycle quantum leap over what it used to be. So
Yep.
on a long enough timeline, all the paints are the same paints. That's not how it is right now, but you are seeing like people emerging. You're seeing like what we used to think the old tech was completely being left behind. And eventually, if you're not at the exact quality level that is known, and also you're
Hmm.
not trying to get famous at the same time, because the way marketing works right now is like it's not enough to be like this is the product. It's like who's the guy who makes the product? I don't know everything about that guy. Where's his Instagram page? You got to have all that too, and your product has to be equal. No, I don't think there's enough space for everyone, and I think we're like halfway through that journey right now.
Yeah. And it, it's a weird place to be because you don't like saying no, or at least I don't like saying no to folks. But there's a point where you just have to be like, at the end of the day, the only thing, like Kenny said, the only thing that's going to separate brands is potentially some different things available to each, but really it's just going to come down to availability and customer service,
Yeah.
which is kind of where we used to be.
And do you like the guy who makes the paint? That's a big part of like
Mhm.
where our marketing is going.
Yeah.
Do you like the actual human being? Like,
Yeah.
you got to get famous too. That's where we're at. And let me ask one more because I got a few. No, I got a few good ones. Ty Winning actually asked a good question. This is actually at first I wasn't going to ask repeat it, but I was like, no, this is actually relevant. He says, question, Ty Winning, are inks really that great when compared to like transparents or fluorescence? And I'm like, wait, that is kind of a trend, right? Because we used to only have inks. And
Mhm.
now we've got multiple people making like essentially speed paint and transparent paint and fluorescent paint, things that you could consider a filter, right? Similar to inks. So what do you guys think about that? Is it really that great when compared
Yeah.
to?
They're all right. They're cool. Like you can do some interesting things with them that it's I take it back. You can do all the same shit that you can do with inks
Yes.
with regular paints.
It just takes
However,
longer.
it could take longer, or it could be faster. You know, like
Or it can go wrong.
or it can go wrong. You know, it's kind of like with acrylic water-based paint. You know what you're getting into. You kind of know how it works. You kind of know like, oh, if I take this like satin black and I put like this many drops of this one thing in there, then it's gonna behave.
If you've
this way.
got Rob's old notebook with all the future Florex and
Yeah. Or with the inks, you're like, I don't know if these inks are tight. I don't know if these inks are a cash grab. Like I don't know if these inks are actually water based or if the only way to clean them out of my airbrush is with like mineral spirits, because like that can
that's a
also happen.
that's a thing.
Like
He's got some right there.
yeah,
Devlin, is
dude,
that
Hot
Devlin?
Devlin Mud.
Oh my god, what a savage!
the OG. So I don't know. Like typically, my go-to if I see like a new product where I'm like, ah, that looks neat, I'll get like one thing, right? Like I recently saw, I don't know how new these are, but the store recently started carrying them, the inks from AK Interactive. You know,
Heard those are good.
water-based inks. I got one. I tried it. Like, yeah, these are neat. But do I want more? Not really.
And as Reaper Pepper said in chat, he's actually one of my students. He said inks have a saturation level I have not seen with like transparency stuff, and that's accurate. Like the reason inks exist is because there's just saturation in a bottle, baby. So if you're not
Mhm.
using them with a bit of knowledge behind it, they can get away from you and kind of ruin stuff. So
Yeah, they'll
there is
stain.
so this is
Yeah.
that's a good question, Tywin, and the real answer is there's inks are great, transparents are great, influences are great, and these are all valid tools in our hobby space. So none of them should be viewed as replacing any of the others. They all have a time and place. This is actually an exception to some of the stuff, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, uh, this is a big one right here. I think this is from Recoil. He says, with the implementation of tariffs, will companies either change the way they fulfill Kickstarters or stop doing them? And I think you mentioned this last week, Rob.
Um, well, I mean, obviously we're in a different place now on the tariff thing. Supposedly have come down quite a bit, but that could all change in 90 days. So I think overall folks are going to have to look at how they're sourcing their stuff, and we're still not set up in America. It's simply, I mean, you could listen to the interview on CNN with I forget his name, the CEO from Suffolfair, and he breaks it down pretty good about, we just can't do that stuff here in the States. And I think for a lot of hobby manufacturing, at least on the board game side, with all the different types of components, it really is not doable here in the States currently with what we got going on. So I think companies have to be very upfront with folks about that. And it was cool to see the recent, what was it? Not Neo Genesis, but the one that Gav Thorpe and Andy Chambers are doing that looks really good. They were just straight up upfront, like, this is this is the deal with tariffs. Like, boom, let's talk about it. And so that was good. And I think I personally wouldn't pledge any Kickstarter that didn't address the tariff issue right now. You know what I mean?
Uh,
Yeah.
I go as far as say fuck Kickstarter in general.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan. Like honestly, like I'm not saying there hasn't been some great Kickstarters out there. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, for the most part, it's a way for a company to pre-sale a product, and some people uh, don't even have the product made yet. They need to get the money, and they need to go to like China, and then like deals change because they asked for a quote on a deal like 9 months ago. You know what I mean? And then Kickstarters fall
Yep.
apart. Then they go to 7 years before they fulfill. So at the end of the day, it probably isn't going to change much of Kickstarter because it's kind of a scandalous platform. Unless people are selling services, like I always look at Kickstarter, and look at that. Like if they're selling a lot of service based stuff, then
Yeah.
they are just pre-selling a business. They're just doing pre-sales on Kickstarter instead of their website you've never heard of. So, but let me jump back since we still have a few minutes. I just want to make sure we got through some Q&As. And back to the hobby evolution and industry trends. And those are some great questions. Um, the very first big question, which is always the biggest question on this subject, is how has the rise of 3D printing and digital sculpting shifted the landscape of miniature wargaming?
Digital sculpting has definitely transformed the landscape quite a bit. That's like big quantum leap, right? And they've been doing it for a long time. Like
Oh yeah, before 3D printing
all the way
was
back
feasible.
in the early 2002, 2001, they were doing digital sculpting for stuff. Now it's just like the tools are so much better. They're so much easily accessible to people. I mean, like,
Yeah, before you had to be like, get like a degree
yeah, dude,
to
like
like
even something like
use these
Blender, right?
programs.
Like
Like,
Blender is free. You can do a everything from like making a 3D object and sculpting it to like creating a fucking movie in Blender, and it's all free. It's a very daunting piece of software. Like you almost need to like have a college course just to actually learn how to use Blender. But it's out there for everybody to mess with, right? Like, you can take a weekend course to like learn dang, I'm trying to blank, like ZBrush, something like that, or like Maya. Um, and so like that's why we've seen like in in hand with 3D printing, we have seen a massive spike in independent artists making stuff that was not there before. Like, oh, it turns out like I know how to use ZBrush, pretty good at it. I'm just gonna start churning out STLs as like a side hustle. And before long, you have a library of hundreds of stuff. You can make bundles. You can start doing things like even like kind of like mini little Kickstarter type things on myminifactory.com where it's like, hey, I'm gonna do this new like wave of D&D models, and it's all inclusive terrain, scatter terrain, enemies, NPCs, like all this stuff. Just like join the thing and like pre-order it basically.
mhm.
Um,
That's a good tie into the Kickstarter, right? Because like when you're talking
yeah,
about Kickstarter is giving you STLs, that has actually completely changed the landscape because that is a zero fail like business model, right? Like you're giving them digital files.
yeah.
So like that, I mean, that
And
is
then with my mini factory, there's like there's purchaser protection, which Kickstarter is notoriously bad about, which is the main reason I'm like fuck Kickstarter.
Mhm.
But yeah, so like in that aspect, digital sculpting is the standard, whereas until the early 2000s, it was not the standard. So like that has completely shifted, right? Um, and as far as 3D printing, it's definitely changed a lot. Uh, but it is not the dominant force yet in the way that digital sculpting is, like in that comparison, right? So like before you had to hand sculpt everything, cast it, metal spin it, whatever, resin cast it, whatever you were doing. Now digital sculpting is the way and the truth and the light, and like every company does it for all their miniatures, unless you're like a boutique resin seller and you know don't even make six figures from that business a
Well,
year.
you're deliberately trying to make it retro through a
Yeah, it's
sculpt.
like
Yeah,
it's a guy in his garage doing really cool shit, like
yeah.
that kind of thing. 3D printing is still the guy in his garage doing cool shit, but it's nowhere even close to a competitor for manufacturing companies.
Yeah, but it has changed the landscape, especially as a hobbyist.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Like
you
end
know,
user stuff. Like,
yeah, like
man,
referencing the 8 thermal cannons you made me. Like that was impossible, and now you can just
yeah.
print them out. So as far as like a kit basher's dream, it's never been better. I need
Just
some
the
more.
problem is your investment, right? So it's like if you were to like pluck somebody from a game store, let's not even use Warhammer, right? Let's use the broadest of gamers that would buy a miniature, a D&D person. And you're like, here's like door number one. Behind door number one is a wall of Reaper Bones miniatures, and they have anything and everything you could possibly imagine that you need for a D&D campaign. And these minis are $2.99 a pop. Behind door number two is 3D printing. However, even like really cheap stuff, modern market stuff that's not like outdated or like discontinued or anything like that, you're still looking at like an almost $400 investment just to get the stuff that you need to start making shit. Oh, also, you need to learn like 2 different softwares to be able to do anything you want to do. And even though something like this new Elegoo machine is like self-leveling and all that kind of stuff, if you don't know how to do like supports and orient and check for defects and like a whole laundry list of other things, like you're not
Yeah,
making any miniatures. Like that shit is not happening, right? And then like people kind of like false equate 3D printing to being free. Like it's not free. Like you have to invest into all this stuff, and you have a depletable resource, which is the resin. And the resin is like going up in price because it's becoming a more and more quality and premium product. So it's like
true.
you actually have to do calculations of like, what is this actually costing me? Like what's my print volume by hours, by how many models that I'm making? Because like if you don't optimize that, you're actually spending a lot more money because you're wasting resin and like again, a laundry list of other things. So it's still like a very niche thing that you have to want to do as like a side hustle to just getting a 2.99 miniature from the store.
Yeah, and I think you bring up an interesting point about time, and maybe we'll close out after this. But I did want to mention that I think we're going to see a lot of so-called garage sellers. Especially with GW going after those 280 people or whatever. There might be some of those folks that are flying a little too close to the sun. But one of the things, and I had this discussion with a lot of folks in the industry that are actual in manufacturing and do manufacturing on the regular, is there's a lot of folks that don't quite value their time because they think it's their
Mm.
time, but there's an actual very, very finite cost to that. Even
100%
though,
agree with you.
what's that?
I said I 100% agree with you. I was gonna
Yeah,
list the example of Etsy because
yeah, that's where I was going with it.
we
Yeah,
have print on demand, right? And so like we remember like 2, 3, 4 years ago, buying print on demand stuff was so crazy cheap. Like you get a Lehman Russ tank with all the weapons,
yep,
$10. $10, $2 shipping. And now all of a
no
sudden,
more.
that entire cottage industry was like, fuck, dude, I'm not making any money because I'm not valuing my manufacturing time correctly.
Hmm.
And now that same kit that you could buy like 4 years ago for $10 is like 50 per. And so then you're like, well,
I'll just buy
am
the
I
real one.
even? Yeah, I'll just buy the real one, dude. Like this is too much work because like you do have to do a
Yep.
lot of cleaning because uh resin isn't ready to go as soon as it's done, right? That's like a whole other conversation. But then also
Hmm.
like you're kind of gambling with Etsy because anybody can post nice pictures of anything. That doesn't mean that's what you're going to get. And again, there's not a whole lot of purchaser protection on cottage industry stuff like that. So I've been burned multiple times where I'm like, everything looks fine. I'm gonna get this gladiator tank. This looks really cool. I get it, and it's a lump of dog shit. Like it's literally warped, and you can't use it, and it's covered in sticky resin because they didn't clean it properly.
But you're
There's
right.
like, yeah,
Dollars per hour. Like people
Yeah,
tend that so it has changed, like as Rob was saying, like, it absolutely is not a thing that people consider correctly because like they feel like they're saving time and money because it's their time, which you're allowed to value your time however you want, no
sure.
doubt. But it has changed the landscape as people have started valuing their time more.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at some point you're like, oh dang, I've been doing this 18 hours a day straight. Like, Maybe I should charge more. Yeah, you might. I think we're going to see a lot of that as the industry and the economy changes.
Yeah.
So
Undoubted. It is it is a big part of the future. We had a lot of questions about it tonight, a lot of Q&As about it. It is kind of the most, uh, most wave making phenomenon that has happened ever is printing our own models. So it's here to stay, and it's gonna. So I can't wait to see what happens next, man. Like fantasize about the future of game stores, because I
it's going to be
personally,
interesting.
Rob, I think it's kind of ridiculous that like someone makes a box, does all the graphic design, 4 people involved, then it's some manufacturing process to like put all that together. Then it's shipped somewhere. Then I go to some store. Then I buy that shit. Then I take it home and I gotta build this motherfucker. You're like, I'm like the factory worker at that point. So many steps.
I think that's the hobby part of it.
Right. But as Wyatt said, like I still got to hobby out on a 3D printed piece.
Right.
I still got to clean it. I still got to get it prepared. I still got to do everything I got to do. I mean, you were sending me models. They had packaging. They had instructions. Like, but it was, that just makes more sense to me. Like, it's less parts. I'm not the factory worker. You know what I mean? I get
We're not going to talk about the great Wolfen disaster of 2024.
Like,
yeah, we're not even with those folks anymore. So,
but anyway, that's a good topic for the night. Thank you for fielding so many valuable and high IQ fucking Q&As tonight, guys. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, that was good.
Let's cut out of here. Let's get this joint edited up. Wyatt, you want to take us out of here?
Crap.
So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive access, exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.